and welcome to a very special Grow Conversations. We are here in South London to talk about women's health. We are going to do a series of short interviews with some professionals from the cannabis industry as well as some patients as well. And to kick things off, no one better than Heidi and Kiky from EmpowHer. Welcome to Grow Conversations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to have this a lot, I think. We're going to be talking over each other, two experts in the room. Maybe you can tell us a little bit first about yourselves and your journey into medical cannabis and what it means to you guys.
Sure. Do you want me to start? So I began understanding what cannabis did for me when I was about 17 years old. And I was a very anxious, quiet girl. And with cannabis, I wasn't anxious or quiet. And I started talking more and I started becoming more verbal about my wants, needs, and everything else. And then it segued into not just a lifestyle, but something that I could lean on when I needed it, for sleep especially, because anxiety keeps you awake. Mm-hmm. And I also had ADHD, which was undiagnosed for years. So it did quiet the brain. And then when my father fell ill with a brain tumor, I ended up realizing he was using cannabis up until the point where he was put in the hospital and he didn't have it, and which created a man that was desperate and in a very bad predicament with fatality, like imminent. And I thought, I'm never going to let anyone die again in that way. But I didn't know how to fix it because it was illegal then. It was 99 to 2000. And then I kept my eye on it. I saw Colorado legalize. I was in the States at the time. And then I decided in 2015 to start a brand of CBD to bring it into the UK for people and for animals because I have a veterinary background. And through that, it fast forwarded to 18 where there was legality. And my career went from exiting from the CBD company into getting thrown into medical cannabis, and there's no playbook. So it was experiential. And now I can see the power that we have as a community and as an industry. And so we're going to make differences for everybody, every gender, every animal. It's going to be a mission for life.
It is, absolutely. I know that it's your mission for life. I see you at every cannabis event that I attend, and it's been, as far back as I can remember. So true powerhouse in the space. And yourself, Kiky?
So for me, cannabis started like I was kind of addicted to all the antidepressants. I've been on it for 15 years to the point that I thought there must be a different way getting me out of this dark place. And then the cannabis came and it helped me and still helps me with my PTSD and anxieties and sleeping disorders or such. And that's how we met and Heidi. And I'm so glad to be in this cannabis community.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like you've really, overcome a lot there to be with us today.
Yes.
We appreciate that. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about EmpowHer. So, this is a society that's set up for women who are working in the cannabis industry. Where did that come from?
It was, I think, 3 years ago. A woman named Rebecca and I were talking, and we said we should probably create a WhatsApp group for the women because there were very few of us.
Yes.
And when I first started, again, when I go back to the CBD company, I remember going to my first capital raise conference or financial conference, and there were just a bunch of men in suits. And I was like, where are the hippies? Where are the women? Yes. There's nobody here that I can relate to. And I realized then that there was a rush because of what they thought was going to be like this incredible green rush.
The green rush, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling quite alone. And I was also not treated right. It was the first time I had worked with other people. I've been an entrepreneur on my own, with my own companies prior to this. And I realized that I was not being listened to. My passion was mistaken for ignorance. My passion was mistaken for not having a business mind. I had all of that and I wasn't ignorant. I knew what it could do. And then I found Rebecca and we decided to do something and she created it. And since then has moved on. But at that point, we had about 30 women that joined from a conference, I want to say in Belgium, but I can't quite remember. And then the group, the word got out. And one morning I woke up and there was 450 women on the group trying to enter into the WhatsApp. And I was like, oh my gosh, and then we're now at 920 women in 41 countries. We're a formal association. We founded it in Berlin. And our membership model and our sponsorships are open for any company that wants to have, participate in supporting the women. Men, women, doesn't matter. And then for the members, we have women that are going to be able to have different tiers so that we, for a nominal amount a month, we can keep it going. We can tick over the website and bring people onto stages and get voices heard that are typically in the shadows. So it's strategic. because we want people to understand that female leadership is very important for their ROI, and having our perspective in every part of the industry is essential, because without perspective, you're not going to make it. And for our EmpowHer women, we really believe we could run the whole industry ourselves because with the talent inside.
I believe you could.
But we're inclusive, and we want everyone to participate and see the value and potential, which is a lot of times overlooked.
Yeah, appreciate that. Well, congratulations, because it sounds like a much needed, platform, and it's been clearly a huge success. So.
Well, and it's more than professional too. We have friends around the world. We met from it, and these are some people are my family. And I think there's a lot of us that find each other, and from health to professional advice to support structures in place, you never have to go. You never feel alone. Yeah. That alone feeling was so long ago. It seems like, in cannabis 1 year is like 20. So it seems like, 50 years ago that we felt alone, and now we don't. And when you go to a conference and tell women about it, they instantly join the WhatsApp.
Yeah. It's an immediate.
My only fear is getting kicked off WhatsApp for too many
And it's
people.
just nice that we do get each other's backs, and if that we have any issues, or that we have this amazing group that we can message in a WhatsApp. You always get straight response.
Yeah, and if women are in need,
yeah,
we are better than any AI ever developed. If you have a question or need, they will jump on it. And we have different community channels too. So if people are looking for money or for capital or for scaling or for exiting or products, and women who are creating new brands automatically have a support system around them, they're not competing as hard as they would if they were by themselves.
This is it. I think that it speaks to just how much better things can be when we collaborate and when we work together. I think often when you're in a competitive environment, as the cannabis industry can be, that can be lost. And I think I have a level of jealousy that I'm not in this group with these incredible women to get all this.
A lot of men say that.
I bet they do, and I wouldn't dream of inventing the group or doing.
But you can join our LinkedIn and our Instagram.
I definitely
and sponsor us anytime you want.
I will take that to the bosses, and I'll make sure it happens. Brilliant. It's so inspiring to hear. What is next for EmpowHer? What are you hoping it might become? Because it clearly, it came from something very small, WhatsApp group, little idea, over 1,000. Did you say 1,000 people in the WhatsApp group? Just under
920.
You're almost at 1,000.
Yeah, we're very close.
That'll be a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then, what from here?
I think we're looking for what our mission has become is to make sure that other companies realize the value of women in the professional space. And I was recently in Holland. There were 4 women and 70 men at a cultivation-focused R&D event. Wow. And one of the women was Nell, who was videography. And what came to me after I spoke were 2 men that came up to me that said, one of our KPIs is making sure that we have enough female presence in every level of our company. Mm-hmm. And the other one, and that was Candelier, I believe. And then same with Signify, Fluence, one of the largest lighting companies. They said, we have women. We actually have more women. Mm-hmm. And I think the gentleman from Holland also said, our work environment is so peaceful because the women are methodic and they get things done, and ego tends to not really exist. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be competition in an industry where there's health as the mission. There's competition if people are looking to money grab. Mm-hmm. Money comes organically when you're a good person and you're doing right for the community. Mm-hmm. And this plant does right for everybody. So if we work together, especially this is my backyard despite the accent for 13 years, I want to see the UK environment become more collaborative, and we're hoping by leading with that, others might follow. And then we can also promote some of these talented women into roles that they belong in versus roles that they are above.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yeah. That they're being, sort of pushed downwards in that sense.
We want companies to contact us if they're looking for somebody, because we have plenty of recruiters within the group, and we have, a wonderful pool of women. And right now the industry is hard in North America. It's hard in Canada. There are other places that are struggling, and those women are looking for support. And these are crazy talented women with 20 plus years experience. There's always room for more, and there's room for more perspective, especially when it comes to creating female health products.
Fantastic. It's so interesting to hear about the work that you're doing, and thank you so much for sitting down with us and explaining it. I'd love to get an idea a bit more about your experiences working in the industry. Do you think that in terms of the sort of gender balance or lack of balance, do you think that's getting better? You've been at this a little while. Has it improved, or is it still something that you think needs a lot of work?
We've seen it improve.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah, I think it's getting better. I don't think women in leadership, I think we are not placed in positions that we are potentially perfect for sometimes.
Sure.
and we're underestimated. I love when the women are underestimated and come out hard and showcase that they're not to be like thought of in that direction. But I do think that, first of all, presence is more. We're providing a space for women to find each other. If you go to Mary Jane or Cannabis, it's a sea of men. We can find I always use Georgia as an example with her curly blonde hair. I remember first going to Cannabis and seeing this little curly blonde hair. I'm like, I can see her over the sea of men. Yeah. It's not like that anymore. There are a lot of women. And even when we take a group photo at every event, we'll go into the toilets and be like, do you girls want to be part of a powerful women's group, photo? And they all come running because they're looking for some sense of community. And I think, that's also as important as professional stance. So, I mean, wherever we go, we sign up people everywhere, because when we talk about it, everyone wants to be a part of it, because having that sense of community is not in every industry.
No. But I think a lot of people started to look up to us as well. Finally.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not being ignored as we used to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was told to be muffled in a couple board meetings, and that was it. That was it for me. Because I thought, if you don't understand this was my vision that you all are working off of, you can't take credit for that. And I think, being not obnoxious, but very factual in our position, it's helpful. And we love men of quality who support equality, We always say it's a high time for equality. It's true. You know what? We have a chance as a new industry to have a balance because we're nascent compared to other industries. And if we stand out like this, it only puts a beautiful shining light on the entire industry, men and women alike.
Yeah, I think we will be a better industry for harnessing like you say, the skillful, the knowledgeable, the passionate women, female, workers, entrepreneurs in this space. We're going to have a better cannabis industry if that's not being, essentially grasped and harnessed. Then we're missing something massive, and we're underlooking these people's expertise. I suppose I'd love to understand more about the sort of day-to-day of EmpowHer, and what does that look like? I don't want to pry and get into...
No, day-to-day, night-to-night, and it never stops. Phone rings all day and night long. We had trouble getting our bank account open for quite some time, but Lisa Hogg, who is my second chairwoman and on a board of directors, she ended up getting it done in Germany, where we've formed our association. And that was a bit of a hurdle. We're all volunteers. So the women are starting to raise their hands and help us with various website issues and everything else. So, getting things done, because we're also all grafting, and we tend to have to work. It's still that we work 3 times as hard as, some others in the industry. And that is because we're running households. We're making decisions. We also get used for side projects and different task forces, and we want to be part of everything. So, the day-to-day is a lot of mitigating. We've only had a few people leave the group or been asked because of the tone. And sometimes it's hard when you convert legacy into legal, and values are different, but they all still have the same heart and they all still have the same mission. Yes. So for the most part, our attrition rate's really low, and that's something that we're very proud of. So we are looking at embedding ourselves in various events, which has come organically. Canatrade, the CB company, were the first group to give us an entire event last year in Berlin, and we had a complete women's event. We talked about sex, psychedelics, and cannabis. We talked about business. And one of the beautiful things is that we had a room full of men that were just sat still because we were bringing some edgy topics to the table. And I think that is leading to the fact that we need more female health to be understood. So having men in the room is something that we're really trying to do. And this year in those embedded events, I'm bringing up men and women to talk about the ROI in business and how leadership with females in place will only benefit you on the long term, and the short term vision, if it's one gender or the other without inclusion, you're looking at short term gain but not long term success.
Yeah.
I think we just trying to spread the word about the women's health.
Yes,
as you know, it's so under researched as well, and we are here to really speak and how cannabis affects it as well, not just men, but female bodies and endometriosis problems and menopause and etc.
Yeah, and also I think men need to understand us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if we have a chance in an industry, like again, with equality and more knowledge shared, there are a lot of women in menopause that have horrible marriages, and they get blamed. In the meantime, they're suffering. And in the workplace, we need everyone to understand if we're having a problem, we need a moment, because we'll still rally and show up, but we're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's about having these conversations, isn't
Yeah.
it? And I think on behalf of men, listening to what women have to say, understanding better, not just women's health, although that is really important, but the way women think about things, the way women operate in business. There are differences to men, there are nuanced differences to that. And I think, you know, the better we understand each other,
Yes,
the more
the better we'll work together.
Exactly.
I mean, everyone can work and play in the same playground nicely.
This is it.
but we have to understand that pragmatism and no ego. We shouldn't have ego in this industry.
Yeah. We should work together, not
Yeah.
against each
Yes,
other.
exactly.
It
We
gets in
need
the way.
together.
One
yes.
plant and one mission.
Yes.
It's
We've
pretty
got
simple.
enough barriers with cannabis.
Exactly.
I always say this, I mean, not necessarily in the context of women's health, but in terms of, or gender inequality, but in terms of just the collaboration in this industry. There's so much for us to battle and fight: stigma, discrimination. Why would we be squabbling amongst ourselves over X, Y, Z,
It's
UVW?
silly.
It doesn't
A couple
make any
pence
sense.
per gram or something.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
get,
This
like,
is
get
it.
over it. Yeah, no.
Let's have a more adult conversation.
Exactly.
I think, yeah, I can hear that from women a lot. I think that's the sort of general desire for these things. And I really have enjoyed talking to you guys here and having a conversation with you. Before we close off, maybe you can give us just sort of your final thought, the one thing that you would like those who are watching to understand about women's health or women in cannabis or EmpowHer, whatever you would like to say as your final thought.
Do you want me to go?
Yes, please.
I would like to, it's a call out to the industry to work together, choose your battles wisely, make sure that when you're creating a female health product, you have females as a part of that process. We have incredible formulators of what we call remedies that are coming off of cannabis plants, other botanicals, and one person can't do it all. One group can't do it all. Utilize the fact that we have clinics, we have cultivators, we have a supply chain that is not really there yet for health and not high, but we are working on that. I'm personally working on that and bringing in products that are subtle. And we have to look at what is available for our community. If we want to increase the supply chain and increase the patients, we need to have CBD dominant products, we need to have balanced products, we need to have subtle products, because women will be more likely to be stopped or feel stigmatized if they smell like weed.
Yep, absolutely.
And when you are picking up your child from school, you do not want to be intoxicated. There's ways to be healthy and not high. So for female health, all the different issues with us, inflammation is the number one reason why we're in pain. Let's look at how we can make it better for everybody and utilize women for those processes.
I love that. Fantastic. Thank you.
I would
so much.
agree. Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, we both have different illnesses and ailments and mental, physical, everybody does. Yeah. So we need to look at the humans behind the plant and make sure that as businesses, we're taking care of everybody and not just pipelining a lot of people that are looking to get high THC weed. Yeah. We need to look at things that are healthy, not high, and functional.
Love that.
We need functional medicine.
Absolutely. What's the point of taking a medication if it's not going to help you function in one way?
In everyday life, because the productivity, creativity, and lifestyle we're creating by doing so is only going to perpetuate our success as a group.
Is there any last thought from you, Kiky, on women's health, on women's mental health?
Oh, mental health. Yeah, this is actually my subject that I am really working on, and I'm a mental health advocate. I think we should, again, work all together and speak about these hard subjects, and not just, again, about women's mental health, but in general.
And make it available, because I think, you know, if that's what EmpowHer does too. We allow women to talk about their problems on our chat. It's sacred.
Yeah.
And then if you're having an issue, somebody's going to come up with a solution for it. You know? I mean, there was a suppository chat going on for hours yesterday where the women were like, is it plastic? Is it not plastic? How do we make it safe and sustainable? But you know what? A product got derived out of that, you know, and someone's running with it. So it's like, it's instant information that we can share with the companies that are producing and make things make sense.
Oh,
yeah.
Brilliant. Making things make a bit more sense.
Yeah, we need to make a little bit more sense. We kind of got off on the wrong side of the cannabis bed with a lot of like high THC flower. That's not for everybody.
No, no, just
we got a lot of people here that could utilize something for functionality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100% agree. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. It's been lovely to speak to you, Heidi and Kiky, talking about EmpowHer and the wonderful work that you're doing. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Hello and welcome back to this very special Women's Health Grow Conversations. I said we'd be interviewing some patients, and here is our first one. Welcome to Grow Conversations. This is Elle Cooper. And you are a medical cannabis patient.
I am, yeah. I have been since 2019 now.
Fantastic. That's a bit of a ways back. I mean, I only started really the very beginning of 2019 after the law change in 2018. But before we dip into that, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your sort of background and your health issues that have led you to be here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd always had complications growing up. I was born with my hips the wrong way around, all kinds of things, like just always had complications, was always in and out of the hospital. No findings as to why, all growing pains or should get better when she's older. As time went on, they slapped it with fibromyalgia, as a lot of people do, and sent me to pain clinics that were about accepting the pain and living with pain. Wow. While I was there, I realised there was still so much going on, and I knew my own body, and I was looking at alternative medicines. I was fortunate enough to be in a really good tech company at the time. We had private healthcare. So in looking at what that covered, I went through every option I could, every physiotherapy, every medicine. And at the end of the day, they just wanted to patch the issue of painkillers and not fix any of the root causes. And I wasn't happy with that. I couldn't live like that. So I looked into more holistic medicines, even just trying things in Holland and Barrett. I'd been vegan my whole life, so it was no secret to me that plants and things like that could help us. Then I found medical cannabis. I'd known about cannabis in the UK. I'd had a lot of friends that did. Even in university, I was the one that rolled. I never smoked it, but I was the one that rolled. And I'd always struggled with addiction as well, alcohol issues and things like that. And that was a factor as to why I never wanted to go onto these addictive medicines that the NHS wanted to give me to, patch any pains. So it was coming to the point where these pains were unbearable. All they wanted to do was give me addictive medicine. I wasn't willing to take it, and I couldn't afford surgery to fix any of the issues. So I looked into medical cannabis. I was accepted within a few days. Wow. In 2019, and my life changed, and the quality then compared to now, it was even then was so helpful, and trying CBD flower changed the game. Pain for me, I don't have to take any of the anti-inflammatories, anything like that anymore. It's changed my life.
Can you tell us a bit about the other drugs before we talk a bit more about cannabis and just what they were like for you?
Yeah, so they... What, like the painkillers and stuff?
The whatever they gave you before.
So I'd been on gabapentin for years, which is a nerve drug. In combination with that, I'd had unsuccessful surgeries that had caused more complications, leading to me needing more drugs. I've got stomach ulcers as a result of the drugs that I was given. I was given antidepressants to calm the anxiety from the pain I was in. These antidepressants and antipsychotics, despite never being psychotic, that I was given, actually caused a tumour in my brain called a prolactinoma, which is very common. It happens to men and women who are given these antipsychotics. Oh, wow. It can cause almost like pregnancy symptoms in both men and women. You can lactate, your whole body is almost like a pregnant woman. And for a woman, it's horrible. And I can't even imagine for a man to just feel like that. These are all things, I'd had friends my whole life saying, these pills will do this to you. And I kind of thought, conspiracy theorist. Yeah. And then it happens to you. And I thought, okay, once is one thing. And then it happens again. And you're just like, what now? What are my options? So I looked into holistic medicines, anything I could. And cannabis just changed the game for me. And I don't have to ingest anything. It's called natural. I take inhalers as a medicine, as an asthmatic. Okay. And, it's the same as taking an inhaler to me using a dry herb vape. Yeah.
This is, I suppose you're very used to an inhaled medicine. Yeah. You just happen to have a couple of them now as well for the pain. It tastes better than the asthma inhaler. Yeah. Well, there's an indictment. I mean, certainly the quality must have improved in that case.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that would be really interesting to understand a little bit about your sort of journey into getting a prescription and how that worked for you. Was that quick quick and smooth. It sounds like it was very quick and smooth and easy.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Did you have to speak to the doctor for a particular length of time? Was that conversation easy?
I was really excited at the time, and I'd gone online, I'd researched YouTube videos. I had friends that had worked in the cannabis space prior to it being legal in the UK as well, that had worked globally.
Yeah.
So I looked at them, reached out to them, and I just went for what was the most reasonably priced at the time. I don't think I had a lot of money at the time to spend on it, and I wanted to ensure I was safe for driving purposes as well, because I was working an important job.
Maybe you can talk about the medication when you first got your first prescription.
Yeah, that's great.
That?
So the first time, because I hadn't really used cannabis, I didn't really know what to explain. I didn't know what things would help me. I just explained, here's my symptoms. They had my summary of health that my GP gave me almost instantly just to get rid of me. They were like, no more, take it.
So usually it's the other way around. That's like the hardest bit, is getting your records off the NHS GP so you can take them to the cannabis clinic and show them your diagnosis.
I've learned that now that I'm trying to help others. But back then I think they just, maybe if you bother them enough, that, they really want to get rid of you.
Anything you need.
Yeah, it was great. And I think I managed to get an appointment in a couple of days at the time, and it was really reasonably priced for what it was at the time. It won't be. I don't think it's increased much since then. If anything, the cannabis has come down a lot.
I was going to say the prices.
Price.
2019 prices have come down a lot.
Yeah, so much, and I'm definitely paying less. I don't for appointments and things now.
Yeah.
I haven't moved to other clinics since then, but I was happy with that for a long time. The first medicine they gave me was a prescription of 1 THC. 10 gram and one. They had 5 grams at the time.
Oh yeah. Back in the day.
And they also gave me a CBD flower, which had a slight THC percentage, but that really helped me. I was able to get up for work and not have these, sorry if it's TMI, I was going to the toilet sometimes 30 times in the morning before work with stomach issues, and being able to take this was, all the inflammation was going down. I was feeling so much better, and I was just able to live normally for the first time in years. And
as someone with a bowel condition, I can very much attest to the toilet sparing effects of cannabis.
Absolutely life-changing.
Get off the loo and get to work. And the idea that that's what cannabis is doing for you, rather than getting you up and on the sofa and watching, some crappy movies. Like, I think it's so important that we hear from patients the real impact it makes on their lives.
Yeah, I don't use cannabis to get high. I use it to create my life, to be able to live the life I want, the life that when I was in pain, stuck in bed on all them drugs that they were prescribing, that I was wishing I could live. Now, despite all the illness and ailments, I'm still able to get up and roller skate. And if I'm in pain, I just use my vape while I'm out there. Maybe I can go a little longer. And I go to legal countries as well now, and being able to just pop into a dispensary, get something and carry on a little further. I can walk for miles as long as I've got my medicine,
Amazing.
It's just really game changing.
Literally taking you further.
So much further.
This is it. That's amazing. Yeah. And thanks for being so open and honest about your health journey. I know it's really, we appreciate that, and it's personal stuff that we don't always share, but I really do appreciate that. And you have, I suppose, taken this a little step further in terms of sharing your story and sharing your experience with others. You're on social media. Yeah. What's your handles? Where are you? What platforms are you on? Where can we find you?
Yeah, so I've always done social media my whole life, and it was never a secret that I was ill. So when I was miraculously better, everyone was like, what's happened to you? And I wanted to spread the good word. I felt like a crazy person, just wanted to tell everyone, you think you can't get better? There's this, it'll help. And I just started posting, researching everything, meeting everyone, going to every event I could. And I just wanted to make content to help. And now I get to work with some of the coolest brands and people in the world, travel all over the world for it. So,
amazing.
And it's Elle Cooper everywhere, Elle Cooper, I think it's,
Yeah,
definitely.
TikTok, Instagram, all of that.
Everything. You'll find me. You'll find me.
Fantastic. I've definitely watched some of your stuff on YouTube back in the day. Well, I say back in the day, it wasn't even long ago. Possibly some strain reviews. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. There's a whole community of patients doing that sort of thing now. It's really kicked off. There's quite a few others in the space. Do you find that, do you guys talk to each other? Is there a sort of community in the background there?
I think sometimes, there's definitely, like a lot of people, the core people at the events have worked in the industry for a long time. Sure. And we do meet up.
So you're going to bump into each other anyway, aren't you? You're going to be at the same events, doing the same things.
Collaboration is what helps the community.
True.
So we're constantly working together. Like I work for a lot of the companies behind the scenes that you'd never know. I edit content for some of the biggest brands, and my name's never against it. It's just, lurking.
I should be giving you credit.
Well, yes, but I lurk in the background, and it's there's so much to this community, and people are really keen to help others, like new patients, and I'm always happy to see someone starting the content creation about it, because they're all trying to do the same thing. So I'm never scared to give someone a hand up and get them started.
Yeah, it's about collaboration, not competition, right?
100%. I've always said, always, there is more than enough to go around. There is more enough work. There's more enough flour. There's more enough medicine. There's more than enough, and there's some seats at the table, and come sit down. There's always space for more people. No one's the same person. Just because someone's doing the same thing doesn't mean they won't watch you. It's all about the person. It's all about the information. And I really think everyone should pick up the camera.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. What would you say to someone who is maybe considering it, who's thinking, I'd like to do what Elle does, but I'm a bit nervous about it maybe? Yeah. What would you say to them?
You got to start, and you got to let go of any doubt. For sure, because there isn't room for doubt in it. If you looked back at the footage and you think, I don't like how I look there, I don't like how I sound there, you'd never upload a thing.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Never. And you just got to let that go completely. I don't care what angle I get from now. I don't need a filter, nothing. And I just want everyone to feel that way, Try your best, speak to creators. If you don't think it's great, maybe run it past another creator. Say, would you upload this? People are there to help, People will always help you.
That's it. I mean, I can't agree more on how you look back on these things. I've got Grow Conversations episodes from 2020, 2021, and I look very different. I do things differently now, and you get better as you go, I think is what I'm saying. Sure, and you refine it. I think that's part of the journey, and I think part of what's enjoyable for people who follow influencers and creators is that you see them starting with something, and you get to see them sort of grow and develop what they're doing and hone their craft and become more and more just better at what they do.
Oh, it's so cool. I love watching growth. I love seeing people get better, and I've been on social media since 2005 probably.
Wow.
Since MySpace, and I'm not the person I was 3 years ago, never mind the person I was then. I love to be able to go back and watch the growth, My old videos from over 10 years ago are still up there,
Maybe we need a little, what's it called? Lots of the cuts and show the sort of progress.
Yeah.
Can't even think what the word is now. These have been filmed. Montage.
Yeah.
There we go. We got there.
Yeah.
That's one of the side effects, that one. Short-term memory loss. It came to us. We got there. Let's talk about maybe some of the other side effects. Do you ever get stigma or judgment because of your cannabis use? Is that something you experience?
Yeah, a lot. Even from family that just presume it's an excuse, even in the medical cannabis world, they just look at it as an excuse to be able to smoke cannabis. It's not that at all. Some people are just set in their ways. You could show them a vape. You could say this is a nebulizer. You could do this, and they'll never change their mind. That's just how it is. Yeah. However, it is getting better. And you wouldn't believe how many people are becoming patients now. I have my godfather who was in a really severe accident and was paralyzed from the waist down recently while he was in recovery in a private hospital, was recommended to get medical cannabis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's changed his life. He's still in his, he still can't use his legs, but he has a car, he can go around, he can do whatever, and and he's happy and healthy, and it really helped with the acceptance. And I definitely think it helps with that. It really helps you not only accept where you are, but I think that can help you look forward. Whereas I think the whole stigma about people being like, it makes you lazy. A lazy person will be lazy regardless. They might get a bit more lazy if they smoke cannabis, but there's medicine that, there's medicine that makes you feel tired. There's medicine that makes you feel more eager to do things, that they all do different things just as normal tablets do.
Yeah. I was talking about the cannabis being the great enabler and you could use this thing, sounds like a terrible thing, but it enables you to do what you want to do.
Yes.
It's taking down the barriers. They're health related. There might be anxiety. There might be stress. If you're talking about, more like the recreational side of things that are preventing you from living your life. And it might be that you just want to sit on the couch and watch movies and have a break. But I think for people like you and I who have had health issues stopping us from living our lives and being living the best life we can, once you have something that removes that. I mean, I am so active now. I'm like so much more of an active person than I would have been if I'd never got ill.
Yeah.
Like when I was healthy, 16, 17-year-old, I mean, like a lot of teenage boys, I suppose, I was very lazy.
Yeah.
But having been ill and then not been able to do the things I wanted to do, having something to overcome that has meant I've just gone to 100 miles an hour and that's it. And you're gone out the door.
You appreciate it more after, don't you?
This is it.
For sure.
Makes a huge difference.
I feel that, and it makes me more eager to do things, and I know that I'm capable of doing things now that I have it as well, which is just otherworldly for me. And it's brought me so much. It's brought me a life. It's brought me a career I could have never dreamed of, and
You have to pinch yourself sometimes, don't you?
every day. Every day in my life. Like, I knew I could do it. I knew when I started, I wrote this list in my notes app. I still have it. And I put tick boxes of all the things I wanted to do. And it was things like work with X brand, meet X person, get my first brand deal, fly to get paid to smoke, get paid to go to a different country, whatever it was. And over the years, ticked every single one of them. And I've checked that all the time. just to be like, okay, cool.
Just making sure you're actually you're
every time
doing
something
your part
cool
self-service.
happens, I thank the universe as well. Every single time something cool happens, I'm like, thank you.
This is it. You've got to be grateful for that. I think it's not everyone who gets to wake up in the morning and make cannabis content and film interviews. I'm also very lucky and very, very grateful. So I pinch myself every morning. So what is next for you in terms of your content? What have you got lined up?
So this year is going to be really cool. I'm going to head out to New York again. So last year I went out there to film the first half of a documentary on how the cannabis scene has changed out there. So it's been legal out there since 2021, right?
Super recent.
Yeah. So we had medical cannabis since 2018. That's when they started developing it. Obviously ours has come so far. Theirs hasn't. It's awful.
It's not good, is it?
It's not good. And
I hear horror stories from New York.
It makes you unwell. It's not safe, half of it. So last year I went out to film the first half of that, and then we're going out to film the second half, and be coming back to Medicon. So I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah, Medicon.
Yeah.
It's a brand new conference in May. I think it's the 22nd or the 23rd.
It's 23rd. May. I will be there just lurking behind the scenes, doing some cool things.
Amazing. I will see you there.
Yeah.
Very excited for that. Lots of interesting conferences coming up this season as well. So I mean, thank you so much for sitting down with us and sharing a little bit about yourself, what you do, about your health. If you had one last thing to tell the audience about women's health, about the difficulties that you faced in terms of that context, or being a woman in the cannabis industry, what would you say?
Advocate. Advocate for yourself, advocate for other women. There's so many people out there that have been through similar situations and they can relate to it, but I'm trying to think what to say.
That's right.
Let me think. Brain on.
What would you say to someone who's a bit anxious about looking into cannabis for themselves?
The doctors and the people that work at these clinics, so helpful and like so well educated. From the first time I went there, I was like, this is otherworldly. From the first appointment with that clinic early on, these doctors haven't been doing this before. These were all people that have come from a medical field and moved to that, and they're so educated and they're so passionate about helping people, and they're there to help you, much as the community are as well. And there are so many resources, even if it isn't just the people you see online. There's Facebook groups, there's people in your hometown. Like, I promise you, there is so many people around you, and just keep telling people about it as well, because it is changing a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. Absolutely. Love that. What a great way to finish off there. Thank you so much, Elle, for sitting down with us.
Thank you so much.
It's been fantastic, and thanks for watching. We'll be back very shortly. Hello and welcome back to our Women's Health Special Grow Conversations. Our next guest is Louise Farey. She is patient coordinator at Treat It Clinic. Welcome, Louise.
Hi.
Maybe to start us off, you could tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up working in the cannabis industry and for Treat It Clinic.
All right. Well, I've used cannabis medicinally for a long, long time, and actually started through somebody else I knew who had a business, but it was CBD. Mm-hmm. I had my own business, but I'd worked with this person previously, and so when I'd sold my business, they asked what I was doing. If I wanted to come into the business, they'd set up to do like the customer service part of it. So I did, and obviously knew about cannabis, and they knew that I knew about cannabis, so that was a big push, I think, as well. And then that company was bought out by a medicinal cannabis company.
Oh, wow, okay.
So they spoke to me and seen what I'd done with the customer service and asked me if I'd stay on and do the customer service for the cannabis clinic that they were setting up.
Oh, amazing.
So that's how I sort of transitioned from my own business to CBD to cannabis.
You were already in the role, essentially.
Yeah.
They're like, right, we're going to do medical cannabis now.
Yeah, with a bit of a pay rise, so I couldn't refuse. It's
Very
like,
nice.
okay, I'll carry on.
Well, and too right. I think working with patients and in a professional, in a sort of medical clinic, I think that's that deserves a little bit of pay rise.
Complex needs as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do is your patient coordinator role. I think there's people watching here who are what does a patient coordinator do exactly?
Yeah, well, I think it changes and evolves, but essentially one of my main role in the clinic that I'm in now is to sit on the MDT with the clinicians and doctors and bring on board, make sure that all new patients seeking medicinal cannabis have all the information that the doctors need to be able to see the evidence so that they can decide whether they're suitable for medicinal cannabis. And then I link up with these patients, especially the THC naive or those in the sort of elderly brackets or the younger brackets. I will link up with them in between their times seeing the doctors or the consultants, so that they just have somebody checking in with them, somebody who knows. We can talk about how much they're taking, how they're taking it, if it's right, if they're feeling a certain way, and look at then the strains of what they're taking, see if we can help. And
I love that.
Just kind of give them that bit of extra support. And I'm always there for questions.
Yep.
Any questions, little, big questions, just ask us.
It's such a complicated topic, I think, and I don't want to make it sound big and scary, but there's lots of little bits to it, isn't there? There's the terpenes and the THC CBD ratio, and then there's do I want flowers or oils or this thing or that thing, and there's reasons why patients would have some questions.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's not even just questions like that as well. It's silly questions sometimes. That's not a silly question, but people just want to know. It's like, how much is it?
Yeah.
Bits like that, just little bits of advice. Well, if I go from this, form, from a flower to an oil, is it going to cost me more? And even just working it out, because it can be quite expensive.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the price of a bottle of oil and break it down to how much you might actually be taking, it becomes less and less expensive, because it could be 30 ml, it could last 2-3 months.
It's understanding that investment that's being made, isn't
and
it?
how it works and how to take it. You
mentioned MDT, multidisciplinary team meeting. I imagine, again, we probably got some people.
Because I wouldn't have remembered
I've got my notes, don't worry, I'm well prepared. But so, I think there'll be people watching who will be aware of this process, that as a patient you apply and you talk to the doctor, you show them the records, but then the doctor then goes back and talks to the wider team. Treating, this includes yourself. What are those conversations like with the healthcare professionals when you're talking about approving someone for these medications? Is it quite simple and straightforward, or is there a bit of friction? Is there sometimes a difference of opinions? How does that work?
I think that depends on the person applying.
Sure.
We're all different, aren't we? So it depends on the needs of the patient. And I think the MDT is mainly because of it's a CBPM, and so they can't just make the decision. It's got to be discussed and talked about with somebody else. But I find it really interesting, because I'm lucky enough to sit with the doctors and the clinicians that do really know what they're talking about on the medicinal side. And it's interesting listening to conversations on why they would and how much they would give and what sort of products they would suggest. As a lot of people probably around my age who've used it for a long time are coming for flower. but don't actually understand that other things can work better for them.
There's like a familiarity with flower, isn't there? Because it's what we're used to, what we know.
Yeah, it's how we know, and we know how it's going to affect us that way. With the other things of the unknown, but it's really it's interesting listening to the doctors, and there are differences of opinion, and then obviously sometimes patients have a different of opinion to what the clinicians, doctors have decided, and can challenge that, and so they may have to discuss things again.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. The clinic I worked in previously didn't do this, but I find it really interesting in the process of seeing how they decide and what they do. I think it's valuable, really valuable.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah. I often hear feedback from these MDT meetings in terms of very much like this, talking to clinicians about what that is like. Because for me, that's the sort of hidden away secret meeting that's happening behind closed doors. Is this patient going to get the medication? What kind of medications are they going to get?
Grand old Earl of Oz.
Yeah.
Was like sat in that room.
You put the sorting hat on and we're like, it's an oil, it's a balanced oil.
Yeah. No, but formulations and things like that, it's good because some clinicians will have more experience than others. Doctors will have more experience than others. So to hear it and then them explain why they would do this is, it's really interesting.
Yeah. And you learn a lot, I suppose, from the expertise in that room.
Yeah, I'm like a sponge, and I try and listen to it and absorb it all, because then I'm going to speak to the patients afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I think there's two sides to the industry, and like I say, somebody like myself who's medicated for a long time, you don't actually understand the role of the clinic and what that does and how that works. So
you feel very independent, right?
Yeah, but it feels good to be able to pass that over to people who just go, look, I just want to come to the doctor. Where's my medication? I want it the next day. It's like, it doesn't actually work like that. So to be able to explain the process and then they understand the process. And that's only initially. Once you've passed and you've been approved for medicinal cannabis, the process is a lot simpler.
Yeah. It's just sort of
Yeah.
Coming back every month, checking in.
Yeah, but you have to make sure, and those doctors will want to make sure at the end of the day, the buck stops with them, really, that it's their responsibility for them prescribing the CBPMs.
Yeah, I think that's often something that patients don't necessarily understand as well, in that it is the doctor that's taking responsibility for that prescription as well. Sometimes that can create some friction, I find.
Yeah, and there's a lot of social impacts as well. You have to look at life and how people are living and what they're doing, whether it is the right thing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you recently won an industry award. Congratulations. The Cannabis Industry Awards.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and what does that mean to you?
I really don't particularly know. I just went over my laptop one morning and I had an email and I read that and I put it into the group chat because I was at Lumia Clinic there, and it was like, I've just got this email about that, and then realised it was the manager that had put me forward for it. Yeah, and then won it. Was like, wow, that was really good. But we did, and it's not just me, I was part of a team, a small team who'd started up a new clinic, and we did have quite a few patients on board that, and we had a lot of good feedback from it. But we didn't do any advertising at the time. We just worked for a year to try and get everything running well, so that was going, and a lot of those patients were guinea pigs and stuck with us going through it all, so kudos to them as well. But it was a real honour, actually, because I think more because I do just go to work and do my job, and like I said to you, I didn't really know about this CIC until then, but not because I'm ignorant and don't want to know about it, more because I just do my work and get on with it. I just want to help people.
Yorkshire, and all the industry is very London-centric, isn't it?
Yeah, and I, like you say, I live on the Yorkshire coast, North Yorkshire coast, a million miles away from everything, with nothing. And I think because I know how cannabis has helped me through my life and for a long time, I want to make it accessible for people, and I want people to be able to come and talk to us and give them the information they need and be able to help them access it. So I just go to work to do my job, and then I find out about all these other things going on, and it's like, oh great.
Maybe that is how you win awards in the long term, is you just focus on the job, keep your head down, get on with it, do the best you can,
get it done. Yeah, essentially just get the work done. Yeah. So
we're here obviously talking about women's health and women's role in the cannabis industry as well. How do you find that, being a woman working in the cannabis industry? I was going to say that the industry is very London-centric, but I also find it's often quite male-dominated. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, all industries.
Well, that's a good point.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like, but I think
the world of business.
Yeah. Absolutely, but there are some amazing women that work in the industry. Really are amazing women that work in the industry, and women should be accessing it. Definitely. I work like the doctor I work with now. She's amazing. She's lovely.
Who's that?
Dr. Samin, she's called.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, at Treat It Clinic, and she is the patients love her too. You know, it's just, I don't know.
What makes a good cannabis doctor, in your view?
Well, I think
What makes her a good cannabis doctor?
Yeah, I think anybody is a doctor that can listen and take on board and not talk over, or, you know, sometimes as well, you have to understand that a lot of patients, the bigger percentage of patients that join cannabis clinics are not THC naive, whether they say they are in the beginning or not, they're not THC naive. And so some of them do know what they're doing and do know what they want, and sometimes can get frustrated if doctors don't necessarily listen to them. And I get that all the time, you know, working with on the front line, if you like, with patients. I hear that. So yeah, doctors, and I think that's like a big thing that we get. And I've only worked in the industry for a short time, so I've only really worked with 3 doctors, and luckily, well, no, because there's more at Treat It. I'm counting them up now. That's me forgetting. They've all been really, really good, and they all get really good feedback, which is nice.
I find that the doctors in this space they've had to overcome the stigma. They've had to learn about this sort of quite niche, quite complicated area of medicine. And I find they get really into it and stuck into it. The ones that stick around, I generally find them to be some of the most engaged and passionate doctors that I've ever experienced as a patient, but also as a professional. I just think it just the way that the industry works.
But it's like a whole new world to them as well, because they still don't teach the endocannabinoid system, do they? So it's like they then come out and, oh my God, there's this whole new thing that I can go and study. And it's really interesting that Bristol University are offering placements for the first time this year. I was talking about Dr. Samin, about that with Dr. Samin, because she lives in Bristol.
Oh, wow.
And we'd sort of, that's really amazing, because to get them on board and them understanding if they're interested in it. But yeah, you would think, and it's quite an academic career, really, isn't it, being a doctor, and the constant learning and things. So yeah, I could imagine it'd be really interesting, because I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger, isn't it?
I think so.
The industry, you know, the more we have to choose our own health, and if we go private, we should be able to choose the medications we want to choose. And I think the fact that there aren't any real side effects from it, there's nothing that, you know, you don't have to wean yourself off this drug kind of thing, makes it so beautiful. Very
minimally addictive, very few side effects. You can't overdose.
No.
I mean, it's I think when you say that on paper and you talk about the wide variety of things it does for people, sometimes people get skeptical about it, but it really does have I just think it's an incredibly powerful medicine in terms of the good it can do for people.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot with the stigma as well. I mean, if you looked at people that stigmatise cannabis, if you showed them like numbers research from the impact of alcohol on the human body to the impact of cannabis on the human body, they'd be like, hang on, what? Pardon?
It's just breaking down that misunderstanding and
it's education, isn't it?
That's exactly it.
You know, and the government, well, maybe not the government, well, yeah, the government, everybody, alcohol's great, go buy it, Cannabis, no, don't do it.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It makes absolutely no sense.
And I think when you've got also some of the other medications, and the fact that in chronic pain particularly, they're not particularly recommending certain medications anymore for long-term pain. There actually aren't that many options. So I think you got a lot of people, we were just talking to Elle, who was, tried all these different things. They come to the end of the road and they just have to go and experiment with alternatives. And cannabis falls in that category, but wouldn't it be great if it was one of the things that was tried in the first place? Yeah,
and let's not just say it's great for pain. Let's say, the anti-inflammatory prospects within it, for pain is fantastic.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what it does for the women's health issues that you see in the clinic as well. What do you see women experiencing?
Well, obviously, women's issues, it's going to be definitely hormonal, things like that. So endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, all of those things. And now for me, my time in life, I'm lucky enough to be able to be in the menopause. It's like, wow, this is great. But for that, like anxieties, I'd never had anxieties in my life. And it's not just, hot sweats, mood swings. It's not just that. You start to ache. Your body physically aches. You get pains. You get, your hair changes, everything. Your hormone levels drop even further. So, yeah, it's great. Insomnia, another thing with menopause.
Yep.
I was always a great sleeper. All of a sudden, for a week during every month, I'm awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. Wow. It's like, I don't want to be awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. So the only thing that will help me is, and it's natural. It's not, I'm not taking sleeping tablets from the doctors. My mood, when I get a low mood, I'm not being fobbed off with antidepressants, which just because I've got a low mood doesn't actually mean I'm depressed. Because I think
we all
we
have
could
ups and
explain
downs.
that. Of course we do,
absolutely.
and everybody's going to have ups and downs in life. But you're not necessarily just depressed. You're not this. I think that has to be over a period of time. And if you can use something natural, that's going to help you, as opposed to relying on taking drugs. Then, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. No, fantastic. As we sort of move towards closing off, I'd love to talk a little bit about the barriers that you see women facing in terms of do you think women experience the stigma and discrimination more, I suppose, is the question. What are the barriers that are stopping women from looking at this as an option for them?
Again, I think it's education.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's education. I think it's people talking about it, even with the way it's talked about by people within the industry. We're kind of a bit careful about what we say, and I know we have to be, but I think we could make ourselves more personable. I think we could be, just speaking to people and saying, these are the rules, these are the regulations, this is how you can access it. If you've got HRT, that's a medication you're trying. That is something that can help you have it. If you are in the menopause, there's your issue. We should be able to be more open and talk about it, like we talk about paracetamol, like we talk about ibuprofen for, we've got a bad back, get some ibuprofen, the anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, you don't hesitate to recommend.
Yeah, have some, this flour, that would be great, but I have a bit of this oil, that would be fantastic for that. We just need to be more open.
Yes.
And I think speak about it. And if we all think as well, the people that work in the industry, if we constantly have this stigma above us, then we think about it as well. But if we forget about the stigma, like I don't feel any stigma in the fact that I use it. I will openly tell people I use it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I have children. My children know about it. And this was a big thing for me. Like, when you have children, do you tell them you keep it away from them? But as they get older, no, I do, because I had a little discussion with myself and go, but I use this as a medicine. I'm not using this as a recreational drug. I am using this as a medicine. And so I think they should understand the medicine that I am using and see it differently to a recreational drug.
100%.
And it's us. If we educate people, if we talk about that, then that gets rid of the stigma. I have had my own business. I've worked in schools, I've worked for social services, and now work in the industry here. I wouldn't have done that without medicinal cannabis or using it medicinally, because I'm also currently awaiting ADHD diagnosis. So that kind of explains it to me, why and how I've used it the way I have throughout my life. So I'm open and honest about what I do. And I think if we all are, that's just breaking the stigma down, because if we keep it secret, then
it's going to stay secret.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Perfect way to finish. That was really beautifully put. And I couldn't agree more. I think in terms of the industry, I think you internalise stigma to varying extents. Don't intend to.
Yeah.
And I think we, as an industry, we need to be the representatives. We need to be bold but honest and forthright about the good that we can do with this. So thank you.
I think we do, because it does do good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. There's no bad.
You've experienced it. I've experienced it, and
there's no bad thing about it. So why we should be screaming it from the rooftops? It's like, oh, you take it. Not that I want to push it on people, but
no, I know that's the problem. Because that's that internalised stigma again. You're like, I don't want to be a drug pusher, but this really could help.
But it's good. Do it.
Yeah, try it. Have to stay with it. Anyway, thank you so much for sitting down with us, Louise. It's been really interesting to talk to you. I think that's what a perfect way to round off the episode, to talk about stigma in that way. I couldn't agree more. And thank you very much.
Cool. No worries.
Cheers, guys.